Hi. For 4 years, I've lived in Yavapai County, Arizona. It's in northern Arizona, and it's considered what would be a rural county. We have huge disparities related to mortality rates, suicide, substance abuse. We have more than a third of our population is over the age of 65. We have a huge veterans community. There are wonderful things about northern Arizona as far as it being beautiful and pristine places to go, like the Grand Canyon and boulders and lakes and all kinds of beautiful things. So I love living here. But for the last 4 years, I've studied these disparities, and this morning I sat in a meeting that is releasing the 5-year County Health Implementation Plan. And this group is made up of a bunch of great people that have a bunch of great ideas about how to solve problems as it relates to population health over the next 5 years. And I was sitting there, and the glaring absence that I've seen is you look at all these gaps and disparities, and the one thing that's missing in rural communities is discussion of LGBT populations. If you were to study a little bit on LGBT populations and understand the gaps and disparities that exist within those communities, we could really work to address issues as it relates to gaps and disparities. And this goes for all small and rural communities across the nation. When we look at LGBT populations alone, LGBT populations suffer a rate of 2.5 times higher than national average for substance abuse. When I study our population in Yavapai County, we're looking at an attempted suicide rate of 60 times higher than the national average. When we look at domestic violence, gay men experience physical violence in relationships that experience domestic violence 2.5 times more than any other demographic. When we look at these disparities, we got to also look at LGBT populations, because that is a huge area that is impacting those results and those disparities. So when we look at this, though, I live in rural communities where people still won't talk about it. They won't talk about LGBT. You can't even say the words. When I talk to people about it on side conversations, they'll whisper. They'll whisper and not even be able to utter the letters. We're not talking about not knowing the meanings of the letters. We're talking about the ability to even talk about it. And some of this goes back to, well, I believe it's right or wrong, and we're still dealing with the moral issues and whatnot in rural communities. Well, guess what? LGBT populations still exist. It's not about whether it's right or wrong. It's about saving people's lives. And I titled this, would you be willing to buy me a cup of coffee to save a life? And the reason why I state that is that in years past, when we look at LGBT populations, the biggest connection to why the disparities exist is lack of social connections, rejection, discrimination, inability to get a job, inability to provide for their family. And all of these gaps and disparities that all people exist more in the LGBT community. And we have not historically addressed any of these issues in northern Arizona or in rural communities. We're still not talking about it. And that's why you're seeing the huge disparities. So when I say, would you be willing to buy me a cup of coffee? I run a great organization called GYCC that provides an umbrella of resources, support, activities, events for the LGBT community in northern Arizona, and specifically Yavapai County. And, we have over 1,000 people on that listserv. And if every one of those people would donate just $5, instead of buying that cup of coffee today, donate just $5 to this cause, we're talking about $5,000 a month if they were to do it willingly for every month. Over $5,000 a month that would go towards free education for the community, free and for people that are not LGBT to be able to better understand how to serve this population. How about emergency housing? We take phone calls every day with kids that are kicked out of their homes that have no place to go, and guess what? We're housing them. This funding could really help to go and aid those populations. And it's not just about talking about it, it's about showing that you value human life. Do you value an LGBT person's life? I guarantee that every single person watching this video has either been touched, knows, is connected to, or has a relationship with, or has someone in their family that identifies as LGBT. Did you know that 1 in 5 people identify as LGBT? If each one of us were to just give 1 cup of coffee once per month, we could make a huge, huge impact. So, are you willing to save a life? Are you willing to buy me a cup of coffee to do this and continue doing this work? Hit your donate button today and donate just $5 a month to save one person's life or more. Thank you.